Hey guys, welcome back to Small Talk, small conversations with huge impact. Now exclusively on Spotify, powered by Anchor. My name is Alec Cuenca and I'm your host. And before anything else, I would like to greet each and every one of you. Welcome back to the show. I am so grateful that you guys are clicking on this episode. That just means that you are invested in improving and becoming a better version of yourself to make better decisions for yourself, of course, and for the people around you. If this is your first time listening to the podcast, then I hope that you like this one. If you do, go ahead and check out the other amazing episodes that we have here. And also, if you like this one, this podcast, please give this podcast a 5-star rating on Spotify. It literally helps be recommended to a lot more people that listens to podcasts. This is actually the biggest help that I get on helping reach more people organically. So if you could spare a little few minutes of your time, please rate this podcast a 5-star rating on Spotify. Now, before I go on talk about this topic, I just want to make one announcement. I will be having my live event on June 26th in Makati, Rockwell, Makati. So if you are in the metro, please come join us. This is going to be a workshop on self-awareness and growth mindset. I believe that in any kind of transformation, it really begins with awareness. So if you want to redefine your story, change your current reality, please come join us. Tickets are still available. There are still a few slots left, so just click on the link in the description box below to register. And so for this episode, I want to talk about how to make better decisions in life. And I have talked to a lot of people. I really love connecting with people. I really love hearing about their stories. But one thing that I think most people have a problem with is making decisions that they would not regret. Okay, I believe that you don't regret the decisions that you don't take. You only regret the decisions. You don't regret the decisions that you make. You only regret the decisions that you don't take. And so how do we try to save ourselves from regretting not only the decisions that we don't make, but also the decisions and the choices that we currently choose? And so I have never really thought about this one. I'd always like to say that, just try. And if it works out for you, congratulations. And if it doesn't work out for you, then adjust, right? That's been my main motto or notion or angle that I look at it, so that I make decisions. But I'm gonna be completely honest. Some decisions that I make, I regret them. They're not exactly the best decisions that I make. Why? It's because the decisions that I made are not exactly aligned with who I really am. And so, if you want to make better decisions in your life, it really begins with knowing what are your values. What are the things that are important to you? I can't say that the best decision for me would be the best decision for you. I can't say that there is one major blueprint on how we can make better decisions. It's totally case-to-case basis. I have my own set of values that guide me to making better decisions. And I've learned about this concept, and I've really been invested about this concept when I was doing a session with my mastermind, with my group coaching sessions as well. The Better Me Project, which will also restart in July. So if you want to be a part of that, register, click down the link below if you want to join us. And one thing that we touched on is values, being aligned, being intentional with the actions and the choices that you make. But in order for us to be aligned, we need to reach that certain level of self-awareness that we know that this is truly what we think is best for us in the current moment. And so if you want to make decisions that you won't regret, you got to make decisions based on your values. So what are the different values available? Again, it can be anything. I suggest if you don't have a clear view on what your values are, just go search Google, right? Google it. What are some values that I can choose from? Because we already have a set of values. These set of values are combinations of beliefs that we have based on the experiences from our past, right? And these values often changes. It changes from time to time. And so we got to be aware, what are the things that are we currently valuing the most at this moment. So what I did is, I printed out, or I screenshotted some of the most common values that people have, and I shared it with the group coaching sessions that I have. And before I did that talk, I also took a time to reflect on myself. Like, what are the values that I have in my life? And I currently have three values. One is growth. I value growth a lot. And I know for a fact that even though I may have accomplished some of the goals and the dreams that I made when I was younger, or maybe just about 2 years or 3 years or 4 years ago, I know that I still have a lot to learn. And I know that for this year, actually, one of my banner words for this year, or my banner word for this year, if you're not familiar with it, a banner word is like your motto for the year. So one of my banner word is foundation. Foundation. I call this year Foundation 2022. I know this because whatever I'm doing right now, this is a setup for what I would do when I am 30 years old, when I have more resources, when I'm more credible, when I'm able to reach more people. This is basically the foundation that I'm building. And in any kind of foundation, I got to make sure that it's strong. And in order for me to be to have a strong foundation, I need to grow. I need to relearn, or I think the better term for it is unlearn some of the things that I believe in, and then learn more stuff. Because if I'm not growing, I'm dying. Okay? And if you're not growing, you're dying as well. Because we're human beings. We're living things. We are meant to grow. Like a plant, it always grows. Even if you don't see it, every single day it grows, it changes. And for us human beings, I believe as well that we should also grow. And so for me, growth is my top value right now. In any kind of decision that I make sure that I would grow from this decision. I would grow from this choice. I would grow from this experience. And so, and I am really humbled and honored by everything that is happening in my life right now. But I know that I need to still learn a lot. I'm reading this book, Becoming Supernatural, and it opened my eyes in the topics of basically the bridge between science and mysticism. Mysticism is the topic about energies, chakras, some of the things that we don't really read and talk about. But I realized that there's certain truth to this, and I can still learn from it. And as I'm reading it, I know that I'm growing. And so I make sure that reading a book about things that I do not know, I do that every single day because I grow from that action, right? And so in any kind of decision that I make, I'm going to ask myself, will this help me grow? Okay, that's my first value. The second value that I have is adventure. Even though I love my job, I don't consider this as my job, my work. I love my work. I love everything that I'm doing right now to earn. But I know for a fact that I'm still very young. And one thing that I would never like to see myself be in a position in or experience in life, I don't want to see myself miss out on my youth. And I know for a fact that I can only be 20 something once. I'll be able to settle down when I'm in my 30s. I'll be able to pursue a lot of things when I'm in my 30s. But right now, your 20s, this is the most adventurous life that you could ever possibly live in. There's a little restraint. There's so much to experience. And so I ask myself, would this choice, would this decision help me or bring me more adventures in life? Because I have this main character energy, and I hope you have it as well, right? I believe that we're kind of like living in a simulation, and a lot of us are just going with how we are pre-programmed. We're following the script that was passed down to us, that was handed down to us, and so we're kind of like living in a way with we're living in a way that is told, that is written by other people. But if we're doing that, are we really living our own lives? Are we really living or practicing our own free will? And so I make sure that I stay curious, I stay open, I allow spontaneity to come into my life and to give myself a little bit of adventure. I make sure that at least twice a month, I would go out and go on an adventure, go on a trip. I would go to La Union, I would go to Manila, I would go to Baguio, or any place that I would like to visit. Right, every single month, I make sure that I spend a day or two to just go on an adventure. Don't plan things out. Adjust accordingly. Um, be okay with unplanned things happening and allow adventure to come into your life. Why? Because again, if you have that main character energy, you know that your life is a big story, is a long story. It's like a movie. And you know that if a movie is always okay, then it's a boring movie. You need to have some instances where you'd fall down, it becomes there's a lot of questions, you don't know what's going to happen next, and so that's adventure. And if I look at myself like a main character in my own movie, then I would be wanting to have more adventures, because more adventures means more stories. And if I have more stories, then I have more stories to share. And as you know, I'm a full time content creator, and I only share what I have experienced. So I make sure that I don't just talk about things, I experience them. And one way that I could do that is if I allow adventure to come into my life. Okay? And my last value is fun. Fun. In everything that I am doing, am I having fun? Because I know for a fact that I only get one chance at life. And even like the bad parts of my life, I'm now able to, when I make a decision and it turns out to be it would give me a very challenging result. I would tell myself, now, okay, this is fun because now I'm being pushed to my limits. I'm being forced to grow, and I have adventure in my life. I'm not sure where will this take me, but I am sure for a fact that I will grow and I will have more adventures. But here's the thing, I also enjoy them. Like, I have so much fun solving problems that I haven't solved before, and I have so much fun just trying to prove that I can and I'm capable of answering or dealing with situations that I've never dealt before, right? So that's kind of like the side of fun, and also just like the simple fun, having fun, smiling, laughing, dancing, singing, partying. Just having a great time, having fun in anything that I'm doing, whether I'm reading a book, whether I'm partying out, whether um, I'm doing my work. I'm doing this podcast. As I'm doing this podcast, I'm having so much fun, right? Because this is something that I really love to do. I really enjoy these things. And what's the point of it if we're going to see our goals happen in life, but we're not having fun with the process? Guys, you don't need to just choose one. A lot of people think that success is mainly compromised by hard work and hustle and grind and all those gritty stuff. It's not about that. You can have both. We're living in an abundant life. We're living in an abundant world. And just because you are asked to do hard work doesn't mean you can't have fun with it. You can have fun with everything that you're doing. And that's one of my values. Every time I am faced with a decision, I ask myself, will I have fun here? And or how can I have fun here? How can I make this into something that is fun to do, exciting to do, and I'm happy to do it. I'm glad to do it because I don't want to stress myself over my goals. It would be a self-defeating choice if I would achieve my goals and not have fun during the process and just wait until the results come and I don't have fun with the process. Then I'm losing a huge chunk of my life, and I don't want that. I only have one shot at life. You only have one shot at life. You only have this life that you could ever live in. Always remember, this is the youngest you'll ever be. No one can, you're always aging, you're always growing. And so you got to make sure that in every second, every moment in your life, you are having fun. You're smiling. You're allowing happiness and joy to come into your life, regardless whether you're in a troublesome life. If you take life too seriously, life will not take you seriously. Have fun. Have fun with the results, but also have fun with the process. So those are my top 3 values. Now, I think those are a pretty set of values, I could say. But of course, again, we are a case to case basis. We have different circumstances. Some of you might value security more than fun. Some of you might value stability more than adventure. Some of you might value comfort over growth. And if that's you, then go do it. Allow yourself to be guided by those values. Just make sure that you are aware that these are your values and these are the set of principles that you are going to follow. So if ever, you're faced with the decisions, you're going to ask yourself, are these aligned with my values? For example, I recently come up with a project like I recently came up with a project. I've been proposed to do a project, a kind of talk there will be a lot of beneficiaries in this talk. I like it. I like their program, and so here's the thing: I can choose to refuse to go on that talk, but I realized that these are aligned with my values. In making the decision whether I would like to give a talk on this event, I ask myself these 3 questions. Will it help me grow? Will it provide adventure in my life? And will I have fun doing that? And my answer? 3 yeses. So I said yes to it. Right? And I know for a fact that when we're this young, when we're starting out, we need all the yeses that we can get, right? But when you know your values, it's not only the yeses that matters. What else? It's the no's. Because when you say yes to one thing, you're basically saying no to a lot of things. And you won't be able to weigh like which one is better if you don't know your values. Now that I know my values, even though it does not give me a huge paycheck, I don't mind. I'll grow. It'll give me adventure. I'll have fun. Those are my values right now. Not money. Not my finance. Not a huge paycheck. Those are not my values. But if that's your value, then it would make sense if you'd say no to that kind of project and say yes to some other projects. Because when you say no to one thing, you're saying yes to a lot of things as well, right? So again, there's really no right and wrong decision, only decisions that make sense to you. And if you want your decisions to make sense so that you won't be able to regret them in the future, ask yourself, is this decision aligned with my values? Hey guys, welcome back to Small Talk, small conversations with huge impact. Now exclusively on Spotify, powered by Anchor. If you want to start a podcast like this one, visit anchor.fm. My name is Alec Cuenca and I'm your host. And before anything else, I am so excited that you guys are here. Thank you so much for clicking on that episode. Thank you so much for the love and support that you've been showing to the podcast. The podcast is growing because of you. And if this is your first time listening to the show, then I hope that you enjoy this one. And if you do, go ahead and check out the other amazing episodes because they have a lot of insights that I know that you can learn from. And of course, if you like it, then go ahead and share this with the people that you love. And please, to the people who are enjoying the podcast, please give this show a 5-star rating on Spotify. It helps me and the podcast be shown to more people because that's how Spotify algorithm works. It literally helps us reach more people organically. So few minutes of your time, seconds of your time, just give us a 5-star rating on Spotify. And of course, I'll be forever grateful if you do. And yeah, one announcement before we talk about this episode. I'll be having my live event on June 26th. It's called Creating a Better You, a workshop on self-awareness and growth mindset. If you want an in-depth session about the topics that we're discussing here on the podcast, come join us. That will be on June 26th, Sunday, and it will be held in Makati City, Metro Manila. So if you are in the Metro, come and join us. And also, I'll be having the Podcast Academy. I'll be having the Podcast Academy Batch 9. Wow, I have been doing this for 9 batches already. If you want to learn how to start your own podcast, come join us. There are still a few slots available. I will teach you everything that you need to know to create, grow, and monetize your podcast. The Podcast Academy Batch 9 will be on July 2 and 3. That's a weekend. So if you're free, come join us and start your own podcast. Now, for this episode, I want to talk about how and why you should stop living in your past. I'm reading this book called Becoming Supernatural by Dr. Joe Dispenza. And I know I mentioned it in my previous episode, but I really love it. It just shows the science side of what I've been talking about for the past few episodes, which is the law of attraction, using your mind. And here's the thing. Your mind is so powerful that it creates the reality that you are in. Okay, let's start with that baseline. Your mind is so powerful that it creates the reality that you are in. However, when people continue to live in their past, they don't see a reality that they're happy about. We're all biased towards negativity. So when something bad happens, right? When something bad happens in our lives, most often than not, we try to ruminate over what happened, that experience, that struggle, that problem. And in the book that I'm reading, she basically told a story about a girl named Anna. And Anna was a psychologist. And she was living a happy life, a peaceful life, right? And then one day, out of nowhere, his husband killed himself. And when he got the news, he was devastated. She was devastated. She was depressed. And over a course of a few months, she became ill. She had a lot of diseases. And I'm not going into the details, but one of the things that she got cancer because of what happened. Because of she were in this state of being in a low state, being depressed, being sad, feeling guilt, feeling ashamed because of what happened to her. She let herself live in the past. She allowed her past to define her, you know. And here's what happens in our brains. Here's what happens in all of us when we experience a bad thing, and when we let ourselves be defined by the bad thing that happened in our lives, with the bad circumstance that happened in our lives. We consciously revisit, or we subconsciously revisit the state that we are in when we experience that trauma, when we experience that bad thing. So, for example, you feel guilt, shame, hatred, pain, you feel hurt because of what happened. When you think about it over and over again, you're going to be able to experience it or be in that state of shame, hurt, pain, regret over and over again. And those emotions, those state, eventually your body will adapt to it. Okay? Your body will adapt to it. And how this happens, basically, if we want to understand how this happens in a neurological aspect, when we experience something, it creates a mind in our brains. It creates a map in our brains. Okay, when something happens, we connect two or more things, or two or more neurons in our heads create, and so it creates a neural pathway that we experience. Okay, so every time we have a new experience, it creates a new neural pathway in our brains. And when we produce new neural pathways, they also send a signal that will allow us to experience the emotion. So, if, for example, if we think about fear, our brains will send a signal to release a chemical that we will feel fear. Okay? So, if we think about fear, now our emotions, there will be a quotient correlating, directly proportional to that thought. If we think about hate, our emotions, okay, there will be a signal that will send out, okay, feel the emotion of hate. Now we feel the hate. Now, we're not just thinking about it, we feel it. Every time we think of something, there's a corresponding emotion that will come out of us, that our bodies will respond to. Okay? And here's the thing, the stronger the emotion that comes out from your brain, from your thoughts, the longer that it will stay in your memory. That's how core memories happen. That's how long-term memories happen. If you think about it, there are some memories that can be easily recalled, and there are some memories that can be easily forgotten, because the emotional quotient from that thought is quite low. But if the emotional aspect of that thought is strong, for example, losing someone you love, failing a business, losing a huge amount of money, these traumas are being there's also a great deal of emotion present in those moments, and so those are what you will remember most of the time, right? So that's how our brain works. And if our emotions are like that, essentially the chemicals that we release are what will make up for our being. So if we think about something, then we'll feel about. If we think about something, then we would feel it, and then that would become our state. Okay, depression, it's not an emotion; it's a state, right? You don't feel depressed. Depressed. Sorry, you don't feel depressed. You are in a state of depression. Okay, so if you think it, you'll feel it, and then you'll be it. Okay, you'll become a person who is in the state of depression. You know what depression looks like? And I'm not saying that this is generally true for everyone who experienced depression. Of course, there are still a lot of things that we need to talk about them. But the most general rule, if you see someone depressed, their shoulders are shrugged. They don't make eye contact. They don't want to talk to people a lot. They are down in energy levels. You can just sense the vibe when a person is going through something, right? And that's because that's their state. And that state came from your emotion, that came from the thought that you have. So if you think about it, if you reflect on that, you know how powerful your mind is. So whatever you are thinking, you're always releasing an emotion that will put you in a certain state. And for Anna, back to the book, to the example that the author wrote, she literally manifested diseases because of her state, because of the stress levels that she had. It came to a point that her immune system is breaking down because she was always in a state where these chemicals in our bodies would attack the healthy cells. And in turn, she got a lot of diseases. But the story doesn't end there. She then learned about Dr. Joe Dispenza, the author of the book, and she attended a workshop. And the workshop, Dr. Joe Dispenza talked about the power of your mind, like epigenetics, neuroscience, and not just like, law of attraction kind of stuff. These are science-based, research-based concepts. And so when she learned about them, she said, okay, let's give it a try. And so the main principle that she learned is that if you can bring your past to your present moment, you can also bring a future that you desire to your present moment. Okay? I know this may sound weird or if you're not getting it, I hope you do. I hope you're getting it, because this is literally mind blowing. This is life changing. And I know not a lot of people are open to this, but I know for a fact that there's a certain truth behind this. Please have an open heart and an open mind to this. Just check it out. Try it for yourself. So if we can bring our past to our present, we can also bring our future in our present, because basically what we're doing is we're always projecting what's in our mind to the present moment. So if you're always thinking about the past, which is a sad past, a hurtful past, a painful past, you will experience that in your present moment. But if you think about a more hopeful future, a more desirable future, a more positive future, a healthier future, then you can also bring that into the present moment. We always like to ruminate over our past mistakes. But maybe it's time that we shift our focus into thinking about what we want to have in the future, who we want to be in the future, and visualize it in the present moment. Visualization is very, very important, because as you're visualizing things, you're also allowing your brain to signal, release the hormones the chemicals that you need in order for you to experience this state. And I read in the book that the emotions that we experience, they all have different frequencies. Some of them will lead us to lower states. Some of them will lead us to higher states. For example, lust and pain, victimization, suffering, shame, guilt, fear. Those are low frequencies, and you'll be in a low state once those emotions are in your heart, or you are experiencing, or you are feeling those emotions. But if you, for example, have power, or feel the emotion of power, of will, of gratitude, of appreciation, of joy and love and freedom, and the highest one of all is bliss. If you have those certain emotions, then you'd be able to be in a state where you are happy with your life. You are emitting high energy in your life, and you are in a state where you are experiencing the best of life. You are living in an abundant life. And so we got to be careful what emotions do we allow ourselves to feel, because that will put us in states that will dictate our reality. So one way that we could do this is, again, active visualization every single day. So at the start of your morning, and I do this sometimes, I'm trying to do it more. So when I wake up, I think about how would a perfect day look like. And if you think about it, it's also the same when you wake up, and so when you wake up, you're late, and then you stub your toe at the dinner table, and now you think, oh, I'm gonna have a bad day today, and then that's gonna happen. You're gonna see evidences that will show you that today is a bad day, right? Have you ever experienced it? I've experienced it. That I felt like, okay, I'm having a bad day. Now I'm sure, when in the morning I'm having a bad morning. For sure, this is gonna be a bad afternoon, a bad dinner, and that happens in my life, right? But if we're basically manifesting the day in at the start of our mornings. Let's try to do it the other way. At the start of your morning, visualize what would the perfect day look like today. Visualize it and not just think about it. Feel the emotions. And this is also the same with law of attraction. Like if you want to attract something, don't just think about it. Feel it. So for example, you want to manifest going to the beach, going to Boracay, let's say. You want to go to Boracay. Don't just think about going to Boracay. What are the emotions present once you are in Boracay? What are your feelings? What do you feel when you're there? What do you see? What do you hear? What do you smell? Right? So if I say that I'm gonna manifest drinking coffee in Italy, right? I may not be do that right now. I can't. You might say that, Alec, that's hard. I don't know what that tastes like, what that look like. And then maybe what you can do is search for photos in Italy. And so every day, you know, you can go to 7-Eleven every single day and just buy a coffee. But imagine as you're walking, you're seeing Italy. You're there. You're drinking not 7-Eleven's coffee, not sponsored by the way, but coffee in Italy, right? Because when you feel it, it's not only a thought. You are allowing yourself to be in a state where you are experiencing that moment. And when you do that, the bridge, the gap closes from who you want to be to who you are right now. You're basically experiencing it. And isn't that fun to be able to experience something that we think is not yet here? Happiness is not in the next thing, guys. It's here in the present moment. So if you want to experience abundance in your life, then you need to be able to not just think about the future, but also feel the future in your present moment. Again, it's not you're thinking always about the future, okay? It's imagining the future, but putting it in the present moment. Everything lies in the present moment. Everything lies in the present moment. This practice, this exercise, this knowledge would be voided if you're still going to project it in the future. Okay? You need to bring it into the present moment. Because if you do, now you'll think, you'll talk, you'll act, and you'll behave according to the destiny that you want to create. Use this exercise. Practice meditation. Practice visualization. Stop ruminating on your past, because you are not your past. You are not your mistakes. You are not your current circumstance. You are what you create. And as one of my favorite quotes of all time, as within, so without. Life is 99% how you react to it. 1% of it is only what's happening to you. So do not be defined by your circumstances. Do not be defined by your mistakes. Do not be defined by your past. You have the power, you have the control to live the life that you've always wanted. Sky's the limit for you. Get out of your own way. You're the only one stopping yourself from living the life that you ultimately want. Hey guys, welcome back to Small Talk, small conversations with huge impact. My name is Alec Cuenca and I am your host, and welcome back to the show. I know it's been 2 weeks since I uploaded. Maybe napansin nyo, maybe iba hindi napansin, pero here I am right now making a new episode just for you guys. And so if you are new to this podcast, if this is your first time listening to it, then I hope that you learned something. And if you like this one, then I hope that you go check out the other amazing episodes because they have a lot of amazing insights in them as well. If you are an avid listener of the podcast, and welcome back. I hope that you had a great week, and I'm very excited to talk with you guys again. So today's topic is something that I would like to share because I really believe that a lot of people are not really peaceful inside of them. They don't have that stillness inside of them. And the number one reason why people are getting so stressed up, get so frustrated in life, is because they don't know how not to give a fuck. A little disclaimer, this episode is going to have a lot of fucks, a lot of very harsh words. So if you're not into it, then go check out the other amazing episodes. But if you're okay with that, then go ahead and listen to this one. So today we are going to talk about how not to give a fuck. And one of my favorite books of all time is called The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. While I have read it a very long time ago and I still continue to read it from time to time, I didn't really get to do it. I thought I was applying it for some areas in my life, but they were very light tests, as you could say. They were light applications in my life. But recently I had a big change in my life, and I was able to apply not giving a fuck. Like the real meaning of not giving a fuck. And not giving a fuck is similar to what the Stoics are teaching. The Stoic philosophers teaches us basically you gotta learn how to say no to the things that don't matter for you to say yes to the things that does. So it's very similar to that. And not giving a fuck is something that will protect your peace, and that is something that I want to have for you. But this is a concept that is not just something that you say, okay, I'm not giving a fuck anymore. This is a really hard concept to apply, but this one that will change your life. Okay? So again, recently I had a very big change. I decided to end my very long-term relationship, but it was I'm not gonna get into the details because it's gonna take so long, and I just want to say that it didn't really end well. It didn't end perfectly well. And so for the previous breakups that we had, I was always struggling. I had a very heavy heart. I was always stuck up. I was depressed. I tried to end my life before we broke up. And I realized that the main reason why I felt that way because I gave too much fuck about her. I gave too much fucks about the relationship. Now, I'm not saying that that is wrong. A lot of people might argue now, well, nagmahal ka eh. Of course you're gonna give too much fucks. But the way I did it was I gave too much, and anything that is too much is bad for you. And when I gave too much fucks on something else, I realized that I gave way less fucks about myself. And so when I learned this concept of not giving a fuck, this change that I'm going through right now is something that is very light, something that I can accept openly. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. This is it's really painful. A lot of times when the thought comes into my head, like what the fuck happened, but I'm learning to deal with it. Like I am in a mood. I am in a phase right now. Nah, if you don't want to be in my life, then go do it. I'm done. Okay? Why? Because I learned how not to give a fuck about the things that don't matter and focus on what truly matters. I want to share with you a quote that I said in the previous webinar that I held. If you shift your focus towards yourself instead of the person who broke you, you'll realize that all along you had the power to choose happiness just by simply walking away. Be there for yourself. Choose yourself. And that perfectly summed up my experience. And that perfectly sums up not giving a fuck about the things that don't matter. We don't realize that we have this huge potential of changing our lives just by making a decision of not giving a fuck about the things that don't matter. We don't realize that. We get so caught up in what social media are trying to show us to make us feel. We get businesses to tell us that we need more, that we need to be better, to buy things for us to make us happy. And those fucks are given to the things that we see on social media and not really making us fulfilled and make us a person that can say that he is truly peaceful and he has stillness. And that's our main goal for this episode. I want you to have peace. And so I'm going to teach you some of the ways of how not to give a fuck about the things that don't matter. The first one that you should do is define what is fuckworthy. Again, you need to define what is fuckworthy. A lot of people think not giving a fuck is like, okay, wala akong paki sa lahat. But that's not it. When wala kang paki sa lahat, that means you're being indifferent. And when you are being indifferent, this means that you give too much fucks about what everybody else thinks. That you're willing to do the opposite. That you were going to do the opposite. So you're making decisions for your life based on what other people say. And you're going to do the opposite. That's being indifferent. But that is not giving a fuck. That is giving way too much fucks about what other people think. And so I want you to define what is fuck worthy for you. What is something that you value? What is something that you know that is very important to you? And I want you to list down first 10 things. And once you list down the 10 things that is important to you, that you think is fuck worthy, I want you to slash it to 5. Because a lot of people think na marami silang pinapahalagan sa buhay, but only there's 5. 5, at least 5. So if you make a list up to 10, I want you to slash it down to 5. Pick the 5 that is most fuck worthy for you. And then I want you to circle the 3. And always remember the 3 ones that you circle. Because those 3 will dictate how you will live on from this own life. And a lot of people, this is something that bothers me. And something that I wish I have learned a few years ago or at a very early age. The number one that it should be on your list is yourself. You need to give so much fucks about yourself. You need to take care of yourself. You need to be there for yourself. Because when life happens, you'll realize that at the end of the day, the only person that you can count on is you. Not your parents, not your fucking boyfriend or your girlfriend, but yourself. And if you don't give a fuck about yourself, you will lose one way or another. You will break down. You will fall into a pit of misery. So if you are not clear that the number one truly fuck-worthy is yourself, you're still going to be depressed. You're still going to have a lot of problems, a lot of struggles, a lot of suffering in your life. So I want you to, if you made a list and the number one is not yourself, rethink it again. Because the top priority, the top fucks that should be taking all of your fucks, the top priority that you should have is yourself. If it doesn't fall into these categories, If something happens in your life and you know that it is not within the top fuck-worthy values that you have, then go drop it. And I'm so happy right now. I'm so glad that I learned that I should give a fuck first and foremost about myself. Is it painful to change the things that happen? Of course it did. Of course it is. But would I trade that for this strength that I have right now? I wouldn't. You see, in every challenges in life, in every pain that you feel, there's always something that you can get from it. And the earlier you realize that having something very painful in your life, but you're experiencing pain for the fucks that you consciously chose in your life, it's gonna be good for you. The reason why we're all depressed and fucked up is because we have problems that are not really, na hindi pasok dun sa fuck-worthy things na binibigay natin. We give too much fucks sa traffic, nababad trip tayo. We give too much fucks about the smallest things like hindi nagtatanggap ng ATM, ng card, yung restaurant na kinainan natin. Masyadong mahaba yung pila. Kailangan natin magsuot ng mask. We give too much fucks dun sa mga ganung bagay, and that leaves us with nothing. We stress about them, and so we don't give a fuck about what truly matters. So define what is fuckworthy for you. That's the first thing that you should do. The second thing is define what is not fuckworthy for you. You see, it's not about the things that you give a fuck about. It's about the things that you don't give a fuck about that changes your life. When you list down the things that don't matter to you, it'll be more clear. It'll be much easier for you to say no to those things because you are aware that they belong to the not fuck-worthy list. So make a not fuck-worthy list. List down the things. Your mom's opinion, if it doesn't matter that much to you, your relatives' opinions, your friends' opinions, your professors' offensive remarks and language. Those things, if they don't matter to you, put them in the list. And so the next time that you come across them, you know that they are on the unfuckworthy list. And you'll say, okay, shit, fuck that. I'm not going to let it bother me anymore. Because they are on the list. And it's really important that you have this list. Because when we have the list of truly fuckworthy, we know what to look for. But if we have the list of the things that are fuckworthy and the things that are not fuckworthy, we can easily avoid these things. And so these things, ito yung mga kasira ng kapayapaan ko eh. So I'll let go of them. Will they ever disappear? Fuck no. They will always be there. But again, you have the power to choose whether you let them affect you or not. And so if they fall on that list, say fuck you to them and move on. That's the second thing that you need to do. List down the things that you don't want to give a fuck. Am I clear? Okay. The third one is stop fucking running away. A lot of us wants pain to disappear. Well, let me tell you something. Pain will always be here for the rest of your life. And some of us wants to run away from the things that are fucking things up. The fuck-ups that happen in our lives, we want to run away from them. Wherever you are, you will always have problems. And the sooner you accept that the problems in your life will be constant, hopefully not the same problems, but once you solve the problems that you have right now, it will grow into another problem. Another problem, after you solve that, it will grow to another problem. And so the earlier we realize that the problems never stop, the pain never goes away. The thing is, we don't want the pain to be non-existent, because pain is something that changes us. And when something changes us, we grow. And so pain is nature's way of telling us now, okay, you need to grow. So the universe, God is putting you through so much pain because He wants you to change. He wants to change something in your life that you will not need in the next chapter of your life. It's in the pain. So stop running away. Even if you run away, wherever you go, your pain will follow you. The important thing to know is that even though there is pain, after the struggle, there will come your strength. After the breakdowns, you will have your breakthroughs. After the pain comes your purpose. So stop running away. Stop running away. Stay where you are. Feel the pain. Don't try to avoid it. Don't try to distract yourself. Be completely okay with the pain. That's the third thing that you need to do. Stop fucking running away. You can never outrun your demons. They will always be there. One thing that I would like to share with you guys, a lot of people say time heals, right? But does it? Does time really heals everything? All wounds. Time heals all wounds, right? Does it? I've seen a lot of people, I've received a lot of messages, 5 years, 10 years na, hindi pa rin ako nakaka-move on. And then I realize there is no timetable for moving on. You can move on after 6 months. You can move on after 1 year. You can fucking move on just after 1 day. It depends on you. And when I say move on, I'm not saying that the pain will disappear. The pain will still be there. But moving on means that you will learn how to live with the pain, not to remove the pain, not to heal the wounds. Moving on means that you say to yourself, all right, I have these wounds, so fuck it. I'm going to learn to live with it anyway. And from that point on, when you decide for yourself that you will move on despite the pain that you're feeling, that's where you build your character. And when you build your character, you will bring that for the rest of your life. So stop fucking running away and learn how to live with it. Okay? That's the third one. The fourth one is be strict with your fucks given. Like, do not say na, okay, this is the things that I give a fuck about. This is the things that I don't give a fuck about. Okay, I'll stop running. Pero one way or another, you say na, hindi ako malakas eh. Hindi ko kaya eh. So I'll fall back to the same shit that I am trying to fix for myself. I'm telling you, you are so much stronger than you think. And until you come to a point na the only option that you have is to be strong, that's where you will be fucking strong. That's when you will draw your fucking strength na hindi mo alam na kaya mo pala. But you gotta be strict with the fucks that you give. You are way wiser, braver, and stronger than you think. Ang nangyari lang, sa mga experiences natin ng bata natin, they made us believe na hindi natin kakayanin. Tinry nila tayong iiwas sa sakit. Tinry nila tayong iiwas sa pain para maging safe and secure ang buhay natin. But the thing is, hindi nila nakita na pain is something that will always exist. And so, tinry nilang itago sa atin yung strength na yun. Na hindi natin kakayanin kaya hindi bibigay sa atin. Well, let me tell you one thing. You are fucking strong. You're a fucking warrior. And kayang-kaya mong maging strict para sa sarili mo. Para sa mga gusto mong mangyari sa buhay mo. Kaya mo yun. Do not let any other people around you tell you otherwise. I'm telling you right now. Like, fuck all these other people. Whether nanay mo yan, tatay mo yan, fuck them. Kaya mo. All the demons inside your head that are telling you na hindi mo kaya, fuck them. Kaya mo. And so you need to be strict with the fucks given. That's the fourth thing that you need to do. The last thing that you need to do to learn how not to give a fuck is understand that you have limited fucks to give. In other words, you only have a few fucks left to give in this world. One way or another, this game that we're playing, that we call life, that we choose what not to give a fuck, what to give a fuck about, it's gonna end. I just had my first ever tattoo, and on the tattoo, I wrote "Memento Mori." Memento Mori is a phrase by the Stoic philosophers, which means remember that you must die. And the truth is, that's the truth. Like, we can do or say or act whatever way we want to, but that's the truth that we need to accept. It's the uncomfortable truth that we're trying to stay away from. A lot of us think that we're gonna last here forever. That's why you spend so much time on trivial things and stupid shit na para lang ma-distract tayo from the fact that we are gonna die. But that's the truth. We are going to die. And if we remember that the fucks that we have here is very limited, we'll learn to realize and appreciate that we have very limited fucks. And so we need to choose properly what to give a fuck about. And so we let go of the things na wala naman na tayo magagawa. We let go of the past. We let go of the future. We let go of hope and just be fully present in this fucking moment, because we know that this is the only thing this is the only time that we can give a fuck about. You gotta remember that you are not going to be here forever. And the energy that you put out is very limited. The fucks that you give out are very limited. And so if you give a fuck about the things that don't matter, you will not be able to give a fuck about the things that matters. You gotta learn to say no. Kahit gaano ka tempting, kahit gaano ka panasana, you gotta say no. If they do not fall on your fuck-worthy list, you gotta say no. Because you only have a few fucks left to give in this world. Memento Mori. Remember that you must die. And if you remember that you must die, it is a subtle reminder for you to actually live. This is the only way that we can do it. This is the only way that we can live a fruitful life, is to understand that we only have one life. And we're not going to mess this up. You are not going to mess this up. You are not going to fuck this up. You're going to live a life that you wanted. A life of happiness and peace and meaning and fulfillment. Because right now you decide that I'm not going to give a fuck about the things that don't matter. I'm going to give a fuck about myself and the things that I truly believe in. You won't have the chance to redo all your life. So start making one that you will be proud of. Hold on to your dreams. Hold on to the things that you truly value and you truly give a fuck about. And focus on them. Define your list. What's fuckworthy? Define what is your unfuckworthy list. Stop fucking running away. Be strict with the fucks given. And remember that you only have limited fucks to give. That's how not to give a fuck. And I hope that you learned something from this episode. Sorry if you don't like the words, then I'm sorry. But if you do, if umabot ka sa point na to, then I'm very proud of you. I want you to make a fucking difference in your life. For yourself, not for me. Wala akong pakialam sa inyo talaga, honestly. Pero I want you guys to be happy. I want you guys to be successful and fulfilled. If this is the last episode that you're going to listen to, but I know that you will make a difference in your life, then I'm fucking happy with that. I want you to live the life that you wanted. So start not giving a fuck about the things that don't matter. You got this. I believe in you. Thank you so much for listening. I hope that you enjoyed this episode as much as I enjoyed recording it. I will see you guys in the next episode. I love you guys. Alam niyo yan. And if you like this episode, do not forget to share this one on Instagram and tag me at Small Talk Podcast. If you have any insights na gusto niyo madagdag, let me know. I love reading your messages and insights. I read them all. Maniwala man kayo, so hindi. Binabasa ko lahat yun. Hindi lang ako nakaka-reply sa lahat, pero binabasa ko lahat yun. So again, thank you so much for listening. This is Alec Cuenca, your host for Small Talk Podcast. And I will talk to you guys next episode. Bye-bye.
The views and opinions expressed by the podcast creators, hosts, and guests do not necessarily reflect the official policy and position of Podcast Network Asia. Any content provided by the people on the podcast are of their own opinion and are not intended to malign any religion, ethnic group, club, organization, company, individual, or anyone or anything.